ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council Business and Entrepreneurship Dialogue entitled Finding Opportunities Amidst Uncertainties. I'm RJ Tan, co-founder of the Philippine Young Entrepreneurs Association, and I will be your moderator for tonight's dialogue. To get things started, here is the 2021 chair of the ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council, Ms. Fatin Arifin, to give her opening remarks. Fatin?
Thank you, RJ. Distinguished speakers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. So welcome to the inaugural ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council Business and Entrepreneurship Series, which is an online dialogue series which aims to promote exchange of insights, knowledge, and approaches to running resilient enterprises. As RJ said, I am Fatin Arifin, the current chair of the ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council, known also as AYEC, and we are a network of leading young entrepreneurs organization from across ASEAN, which was set up in year 2015, where today we aspire to become the official voice of young entrepreneurs in the region. Today's inaugural series, inshallah, will center on the theme, Finding Opportunities Amidst Uncertainties. I think that we can all agree how much of our lives have actually changed by COVID-19. And after more than a year on, we are still reeling from the impact. We've just heard today as well that Cambodia is currently in lockdown as well. So we really feel the impact still to date, even after 1 year. So we have all also witnessed how much COVID has also altered the world economy, businesses, and society, as the new rule of the game is really about adjusting to this new paradigm. And whilst there's still so much uncertainties to what the future will also look like. So we are joined tonight by trailblazers and social innovators from various industries this evening who will share their insights on navigating this new reality successfully. So without further ado, I would like to pass the floor back to RJ to take us through the session. Enjoy. Over to you, RJ.
Thank you, Fatin. So just a few reminders for our audience. So we want this event, we want this dialogue to be interactive. And for the purpose of having order during the event, all the participants will be muted, but if you have any questions, you can type your questions into the chat box and we will field them to our speakers. Don't forget to indicate if you're directing the question to a specific speaker or if you want the entire panel to respond to it. So, but before we introduce our speakers, we just want to do a group photo. So if everyone, could you please turn on your video so that we can see who's here and have our team take the photos. They'll cue us once we're done so we can proceed with the session.
All right, I see a lot of familiar faces.
Yes,
Okay.
Friends from within ASEAN, old faces, new faces. Old as in people you've known for so long, not chronologically advanced.
Yeah. Okay, so since there are quite a lot of people here, I have to take about 4 screenshots. So if you don't mind, I'll count to 3 like about 4 times.
Yeah, so
just smile on each. Okay.
Video on for everyone, please. If you want to be in the photo, turn on your video. If you don't want to, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, first set. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hold on. And then a second set. 1, 2, 3. And then a third set. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think that's all for now.
Okay,
Thank
are we
you.
ready, Charm?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now let's move on to our speakers. So for the past year, we've all been faced with one of, if not the most uncertain periods in human history. So this pandemic has caused us to shelter at home and refocus our priorities. But despite this uncertainty, some businesses have actually thrived during this period. So tonight, we have four young entrepreneurs from across the ASEAN region who are here to share their stories with you. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, and take in what our speakers have to share. So first off, from our host country, Brunei Darussalam, we have Yang Berhormat Hafimi Abdul Haadii, Executive Director of LVK Group of Companies. So good evening, IB Hafimi.
Hi RJ, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too
So
bad, thanks.
from Cambodia, we have Tida Tong, Managing Director of Tong Enterprises. Hello, Tida.
Hello, Rogers. Good evening, and good evening, everyone, too.
From the Philippines, we have Marvin De La Cruz, co-founder and CEO of SquidPay Technology Incorporated. Hi, Marvin.
Hi, good evening, RJ. Good evening to the council and to the guests and speakers, especially to our shareholders in the SquidPay and PaySay. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And last but certainly not the least, from Thailand, we have Natapol Golf Vimal Chalao, Executive Director of Siam Rajatan Group. Hi, Golf.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Nice to be able to come and meet all the entrepreneurs from the region.
Okay, so to begin, let's go once around the panel and each one of you describe or tell us about your business. So let's start with the ladies. YB Hafimi, why don't we kick things off with you as the host country?
Okay, thanks RJ. I think good evening everyone, and in other parts of the world, maybe a good morning and good afternoon as well. Thank you for having me at this session. I think the Young Entrepreneurs Association from the region, it's great to see that you've grown, and at the same time also to say thank you for the opportunity to just share some thoughts, ideas, receive some ideas as feedback as well. I basically lead a family group of companies. I'm actually an architect by training. That is my background. But I've been drawn into many different fields. So our group of companies ranges from project management all the way down to retail and travel in the travel industry, as well as doing a lot of corporate strategy advisory internationally. That's just one of the hats that I wear. The YAB in Brunei is close to my heart, being one of the initial founders. And at the same time, I also I've had the opportunity to serve as a member of our legislative council in Brunei. So that's where the Young Berhormat comes in. And at the same time, still driving a lot of various different projects in place. One of the latest we've just come up with is chairing for social enterprise in Brunei. So looking at opportunities there of where that, there's a bit more outlook into helping the community grow. Thank you, RJ.
Okay, so thank you, YB Hafimi. So Tida, can you tell us about your business?
Okay. Again, very good evening, everyone, and especially very thankful for ASEAN Young Entrepreneur Council, especially co-hosted by the Young Entrepreneur Association of Brunei and PYEA that is having me today for giving opportunity to share for everyone, especially for the young entrepreneurs and the other people, the participants from different regions besides ASEAN as well. So again, my name is Tida Tongs. I'm a managing director of Tong Enterprise, which is one of the company that we are focusing on agriculture and food sector in Cambodia. We are producing and we are doing processing on the salt industry in Cambodia that we supply not just for the local, but we're also doing a cross-border for international market as well. So So that's what the main business that we are doing right now. And I'm one of the board member of the Young Entrepreneurs of Association in Cambodia as well. And we hopefully to share some of the challenges that we are facing during this uncertainty of the COVID pandemics, and also the solution, not really the solution, the opportunity that we are finding during this to sharing everyone. And we hopefully to sit down together to have a strategic collaboration together within the Asian region as well. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tida. So Marvin, tell us about Squid Pay.
All right. Thank you, RJ. Squidway is a pretty new financial company, fintech. And although we're new, most of our team are actually very capable and mature in the industry. Some of them are veterans, some of them from capital market, banking, finance, and technology. SquidPay is actually we started as a payment gateway, and recently we got our own e-money issuer license from the Central Bank of the Philippines. And we're not stopping actually. We we just bought two banks. One is for our brick and mortar, and one is for our digital banking. And on top of that, currently we're doing a massive development to provide a very robust and very affordable payment system.
Mhm.
It's the user can enjoy wallet to wallet, bills payment, transport card, RFID, and then we're hoping to finally launch our electronic kiosk. You know, it's an all-in-one. It's like similar to ATM machines where you can transfer cash, withdraw using a SquidPay card. So it's like having your own network.
Okay.
And yeah, so basically now we are focusing on payment, financial, and recently launched a cryptocurrency, remittance and forex. We have not launched it yet because we're still trying to comply all the regulatory. As you know,
Mhm.
financial is governed by the central bank, and there's so much regulatory concern and compliance that we have to ensure that we comply before we formally launch these products. But SquidPay actually is on track, and recently we invested into a publicly listed company, which most of our viewers right now, I'm sure they're shareholders of Premium Horizon Alliance. It's a publicly listed company. It's a holding company which we invested in,
Mhm.
and uh, we're now actually very aggressive and moving towards to several projects in the PHA, which involve not only SquidPay,
Mhm.
but so many verticals actually, which I cannot explain anymore because we're going to run out of time. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
so much RJ. So basically, that's SquidPay.
Okay. Thank you, Marvin. So, and golf. So, what does the Siam Rajatani Group do, or what are you involved in?
Okay, so let me explain. Our group is involved in a few businesses, right? One is outsourcing. We own a hospital group and also have a few factories working in packaging, home compounding, and also recycling. But you know, I really want to talk about the work at Siam Rajani Outsourcing.
Mhm. Golf, you've muted. You're muted.
All right,
Yeah.
hello, yep. So I really want to focus my talk today on the work we do at SO.
Okay.
We are a few brave souls who get our company listed during COVID in the Thai Stock Exchange.
Okay.
And since then, we have been almost double in our market capitalization. So what we do is we help company to focus in their core business by us going and help them with business process outsourcing and IT outsourcing. And the thing that we are unique is that we do not only go in sending people in, we also provide technologies and also hardware. So we have peopleware, hardware, and software all together into big corporates. You know, a lot of our clients are multinationals and listed company in Thailand. And apart from that, we also do a lot of investment in tech startup. You know, I've heard Marvin talk about crypto. You know, like one of our portfolio company that we invested since seed round and also help them grow and manage is the biggest crypto exchange in Thailand. Over 90% of the volume go through us. You know, someday we have over 300 million US dollars trading volume in one day. So we are doing really, so you can see during this COVID period, you can see some industry really flourish. So, you know, that's on our part. There's like 7 other questions, so I can expand then.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So now we have an idea of the businesses that our panelists are involved in. So it's very diverse. We have trading, we have finance, we have outsourcing, we have architecture and other practices. So how did you respond when the pandemic was first announced? Like, I mean, I opened the floor to the speakers, so any one of you can jump in and like we'll go from there. So who wants to go first?
I can go.
Okay,
first.
Marvin, go.
I think the girls started it first. When the pandemic started, actually, we're in denial. You know, like, is this really happening? And at the same time, we thought it's a good opportunity to finally prepare and help the government, our government, to indeed prepare the system that they'll be needing for the pandemic. You know, some of this is like contact tracing system, cashless payment system, transport card system. We have this idea. Because obviously during the pandemic, you're trying to avoid cash. So we thought it's better to prepare it now. If the pandemic hits the Philippines bad, at least we have the system ready. So in partnership with several IT companies, that's leading the system that helping the government. You know, we joined together and successfully partner with the government. So that's the reason why many are surprised why suddenly SquidPay came out during the pandemic. No one knows about SquidPay, and we built SquidPay during the pandemic because we believe that there's a big opportunity even in the most distressed time.
Okay.
And we look for the silver lining, and we look at the ways to help the country, the ways how to help our countrymen, the cities, and that's what happened. So basically, so even you know, in the midst of uncertainties, if you dig really hard, you will be able to find ways to make the situation better and help everybody in your own ways.
All right. Okay, so it was born out of the during the pandemic, or grew up during the pandemic. Is that correct, Marvin?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So Tida, YB Hafimi, Golf, how did you respond when the pandemic was announced?
So I'll go next.
Yep. Okay. Sure.
So, you know, like when, just like all companies, when that happened, we didn't know that it's going to go well or go bad during the first wave. To be honest, you know, I actually had to flew back because I was meant to be in Silicon Valley on sabbatical for a year. So I decided to come back to Thailand and really focus on the business and try to help it grow. So for the first time ever, instead of reaching out, we start to look back in. And we start to look back in at our processes and where are the ways happening, because, you know, you really cannot do anything about external factors. There's so many things you cannot control. But what you control is to make sure you burn as less cash as much as possible in the company.
Mhm.
And we just look at all the internal processes, start doing lean. We start to apply Toyota production ways into all our processes, looking at value stream mapping, looking at all the process flow. We just realized that we have so much waste in the company. And during the first lean project, we saved around 15,000 US dollars, 15,000 US dollars waste. And we slowly do it one by one. But, you know, but then even that in hand, we start to reduce waste. Um, with COVID, people seems to be more interested in outsourcing. It's something that blew my mind. We didn't expect to do well, but people start to look into looking at outsourcing non-core businesses outside. So we start to have to scale while we didn't think we have to scale too. So that's what we did. So we look inside first, try to reduce all the waste, all the unnecessary processes, using digital transformation on what process could be automated, and then try to, with that structure in place, try to scale.
All right. So, Tida, can we hear from the Cambodian response?
Well, thank you so much, RJ, for the questions. Well, I think as I remember, in January 2020, it's the first announced from the WHO that is the global health emergency, the pandemic for globally for everyone. So as I mentioned earlier, I was in the agriculture and the food sectors, but we are producing the raw material, the salt for supplying, not just for the local, but internationals. And we also having our manufacturing place as well. So it seemed to be a little bit stressed out when the pandemic, the outbreak has been announced. But at the same time, like the other speaker as mentioned earlier, we step back, we look back inside ourselves, what we should do ourselves, what we should do to respond during this situation itself. So at the same time, we were thinking, we sit back with our teams to go and sit down and set up for strategy together to respond for that. To looking for what we have to do for our manufacturing part, we had to respond what is the, we were thinking about what is the transitions transmission channel that can be impact to our team in our manufacturing place. So we had to adopt a new way of practice in our places. Like we had to wearing masks, we had to check out the temperatures, we had to make sure that we have social distancing in our working place as well. And at the same time, we were thinking about what will be the next impact for this pandemic, like the way we are communicating into our business itself, because we can see it should be a new transformations within the communication, especially for the consumption use as well. Like, let's say now that we can see the consumption of digitalization has been increased dramatically already. So we were thinking, we were looking into teleworking, we were looking into the way that we can transform ourselves into a new adaptations from a traditional, from a way of we are working as an agricultural part into a new way of digitalization transformation. So this is what we are responding to the COVID situation when it first now in Cambodia. And at the same time, we were thinking about like, what should we do to explore ourselves more? Because we don't know what's going on after that. During the first outbreak, and it should be another second wave, the third wave also. That's what we are preparing ourselves. Yeah.
All right. And YB Hafimi?
Okay, I'm the lucky last on the
Yeah,
question.
lucky last.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess when Brunei announced its first case, I don't know. I guess members of the audience may or may not know too much about Brunei. We're a very small country, less than 500,000 people. The announcement came on the first day that we had our legislative sitting. We had the opening in the morning, and then in the afternoon, it was just okay. We have a first case. I guess from a personal perspective, from a business side, is the fact that one of our companies is in the travel industry. So COVID has severely impacted us even till now. We have been very fortunate because it's the same thing as what Golf said. We preserve our cash. We try to streamline everything. You know, chase up all of your creditors and make sure everything is up to date, and things like that. Obviously, we have not been as impacted as our ASEAN colleagues in terms of movement control orders. We have been very fortunate. I think we were about 3 weeks shy now of 1 full year without local community transmission.
Wow.
So the
Congrats.
obviously the immediate impact of closing the borders does that immediate thing. Repatriating our citizens from all over the world as much as we can, so that, you know, Bruneians are kept safe within the boundaries of Brunei. But I guess at the end of the day, it also allowed us to, it made us realize how interconnected we are as a country with regards to supply chain of everything into Brunei. We are a huge importing country. So the fact that, you know, that has now, you know, that is one was the immediate challenge. And at the same time, it in a way allowed us to grow our own domestic economy, because people didn't go across the border for purchasing. They spent more locally. I think we were the only country that you know, indicated positive growth out of the whole thing last year, because of the fact that you had a lot of domestic spending, and for some reason, some of our other FDI was coming online. So I guess from a business perspective, apart from the fact that we were not severely restricted in movement, the challenge to us was really, how do we get our supply chains back online? And this is still a challenge for us as a country, and it has impinged on certain things. But at the same time, the adoption of digitalization has been fast forwarded, you know, in leaps and bounds, which has been the great thing as you move into the digital economy. So I think that's probably it for me. If I were to look at it on the positive side, the uptick of digitalization has, you know, it took the pandemic to make this happen. So I think that's something that we still that we acknowledge. We try to match, and we also at the same time, because of the benefit of our size, our small population, alhamdulillah, you know, we have been able to so far control. So I think once we hit the 1 year mark of no local community transmission, we'll have a little bit of a celebration, I think.
Right.
So yeah, but that's where we're at the moment.
Yeah, you mentioned that Brunei is an importing country, and it's very apt that we have a question here from the audience, and it says, with the pandemic hampering the ASEAN supply chain and thereby affecting regional collaboration initiatives, so how do we, as ASEAN entrepreneurs, continue working as an integrated business community, given these temporary or maybe long-term hurdles that we're facing at the moment?
I guess, okay, so I could probably answer that from, I guess, from a policy point of view. It's actually forced the hand of ASEAN countries to do a couple of things to streamline the process. Like if for those of you in the audience who are, I guess, importers and exporters, you know, even though we've digitalized some of the process, some of the minute details, you know, it's unfathomable at our time and age. Like, you still need physical signatures. You know, having arguments about physical signature being a requirement to even release anything when you're under lockdown is, people don't think about it in that way. But in actual fact, you know, the e-signature has been around for a long time, but the acceptance of it was very, it took, you know, the bureaucrats like to put everything into place because they're ticking the boxes, but not many people realize that that was one of the huge impediments for business to operate cross-border efficiently. You know, so I think that's something that's been accelerated. I think the leadership within ASEAN has definitely put the process in place. A second question, I guess, that has, and this could be the opportunity, is the fact that we want standardization across many of these processes, be it e-commerce, be it just, you know, transferring data from across borders. What can you transfer? What can't you transfer? What is a generic standard you could use that is accepted by various developing segments of ASEAN? So I think this is where us as entrepreneurs, we have to find these opportunities in making the process quicker so that our governments understand that this is what makes business tick. If you want business to be efficient, you need to get rid of X, Y, Z process. So I think the whole, we look at COVID from my eye anyway, as this major opportunity because it allows you to deal with these legacy impediments that have always been blocked by left, right, and center. Because you have to accelerate the fact that you need access to market. You have product that just because of a small glitch, the fact that your document has 2 eyes and my document has 1 eye, and we will not allow it to pass. Minor things like that has been major blockages for proper trading across borders. So I think this is where digitalization and the great work that that some of the folks here are doing in terms of expediting payments, giving alternative financing platforms. You don't even physically have to go to the bank anymore. I think banks feel threatened because of the fact that there's so much alternative financing now coming into play that goes more B2B without having to go through a bank. And that's why you're seeing, companies now leveraging, tech companies are now technically in a way, and I take on our friend Marvin's point that what he's doing is really, that is the banking of the future. There is, you don't really need to go via a bank anymore. So these institutions start getting a little bit threatened, and they're saying, well, do I play with you or do I become your blockage? So, I think something like that is quite interesting. I was in a panel yesterday. I was actually in a conference yesterday that had the former governor of England speaking, and he's just written a really great book on what is it that we are rebuilding towards post-COVID. Us as the young entrepreneurs in the room, what do you see, what do you envisage as your way forward in business post-COVID? Because the future is what young entrepreneurs really make of it, I feel, at this particular point in time. And you have the tools to do it. You have the ideation, and nowadays you have the money that backs you.
So yeah, you're right there that we're seeing a decentralization. To sum it up, a decentralization, not just of finance, but different industries across the region. So, and building on what you said, that business is thriving despite government. And I think government has to realize that they're just becoming a hurdle or a roadblock, so that, and it's good that we have people like you who are in the policy making side, that who can actually do something and like craft the policy and submit it to government and tell them that this is what we want, this is what businesses want, and whether you like it or not, it's the way things are going to be.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we've established the reaction, so what are the opportunities that came up? So like you mentioned that there was like requirements for going cashless. So our friend Marvin is actually pioneering one of these like cashless payments. And Golf mentioned that people were looking to outsource elements of their business. Could you tell us more about these opportunities that came up in outsourcing, Golf?
Yep. Usually a decision to outsource a non-core business, the supporting function out, we would need to be a policy base. Unless you have a policy on it, it's really hard for the HR department to do it, right? But COVID really caused the C-levels of all the big companies to rethink. For example, Mint Minor Group is one of the global hotel chains. They are now coming to us and ask, can you do some outsourcing of our mechanics, electricians for us? It never happened before. So you start to see other sectors and other businesses looking how could they use outsource? Because once they use outsource, um, they they have much more flexibility. For example, during that time, we do a lot of outsourcing to department stores, movie theater, and when COVID happened, they return our staff back to the main pool, which we redistributed to other business that need workforce, more workforce, like hospital, for example. So we could be that buffer between each industries and allow them to scale up and scale down much faster. And at the same time, we have like 400,000 people in our database that we can call in to be our outsourcing force and send to our customers, health managers. Another interesting thing is that a lot of our work is to do with digital transformation and digitization of support functions. Sometimes if you have 10 mechanics or 100 drivers or like 50 receptionists, it's not worth it to create an app or an IT system to help them work faster. But when we have a few thousand, at SO, we have around 12 12,000 employees under our care. It starts to have economic scale for us to digitize a lot of the processes. So, this is what we see in terms of outsourcing. And yep.
Okay. uh, so Tida, you mentioned earlier that you were in the food and agriculture business. So what opportunities, given that everyone's like at we had stay-at-home orders, so what opportunities arose for the agriculture and food sector?
Well, thank you, Archie, for the questions again. So, well, if we are looking back, I mean, to the pandemic situation, it's been causing a large scale of loss of life and human suffering right now. And mention a little bit on the challenge that we are facing in Cambodia, especially on the enterprise and SME in Cambodia as well as an agricultural part. We are facing a lot in the shortage of worker. We are facing a lot of the problem of financial part, especially the cash flow shortfall and reduction of the input as well. So this is all the significant that is significant problem all over our business operations. But at the same time, we still seeing a bright side. We're still seeing the silver lining into the opportunity that we're looking for that. And of course, a pandemic has forced people to think out of the box. And so we are the owner of the business. We run the business. We have to think about what type of thing that we can adopt for that. So opportunity that we can do is to transfer ourselves into the digitalization corporation itself. So we are trying to cooperate with the other digital company, digital like platform to cooperate into with our company to transfer our product, to sell our product, not just because before we are doing just only B2B, B2B platforms only, but now we extend ourselves into the retail to the end consumers. So this is opportunity that we are getting for during this pandemic time as well. So yeah, that's on my side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Marvin, how has your cashless payment been implemented during the pandemic? I mean, we've seen the growth of the use of GCash, PayMaya, which are the most popular platforms here in the Philippines. So, what about Squid Pay? Like, how have you like made strides into the market, or how is your system available at the moment?
Thank you, RJ. The Squid Pay actually focus on the LGUs,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically,
So it's local government.
yes, it's in partnership with the government. Uh, we moved to the areas where the major EMI companies are not focusing on. Example, the transportation, the League of Municipalities, the League of Governments, agencies, the even focus on the public market. and we were very successful on the NFC cards, because many Filipinos are still don't have smartphones,
Mhm.
and even they have smartphones, their biggest problem is data. So the use of NFC card is actually useful, so that they'll become, part of the financial inclusion. And in the Philippines, most of our LGU are not ready when the pandemic hits the Philippines. So as you know, their biggest problem is the procurement. And to procure LGU's own payment system will cost them a lot, and at the same time, it will take a lot of time. That's where we come in. So we partner with LGU, we provided them with pre-system in exchange of SquidPay being the payment provider in the city. It's free, it's totally free actually for the government and for the
Mhm.
user of SquidPay. So we have very different business model than our competitors. Though we don't treat them as competitors. As a matter of fact, we are collaborating with them, and most of our supposed to be competitors are also working with us. So we believe the market's really big. We don't have to compete. All
Mhm.
you have to do is collaborate, find your own space, try to find a middle ground, and you will be okay. And as a matter of fact, none of us, all the EMI licensee are capable to serve the whole entire Philippines. Currently now we have over 23 million to these cards to distribute, and we cannot even do it because our challenge is, as you know, lockdown, no?
Mhm.
Manpower, ability to roll out, the training, the information dissemination. There's so many things that you need to factor in. So I said the business is really really good. You don't have to compete. All
Mhm.
you have to do is create a ecosystem where you guys coexist, and that's where SquidPay actually is working now.
And that's actually it's actually a positive mindset to have compared to what YB Hafimi was saying earlier, where big business is feeling threatened by all these new players coming in. So, and it's good that you mentioned that if if you look hard enough, there is a niche or like a space for everyone. You don't have to like compete.
That's right, and they're actually quite happy that we're going to the places that they're not present.
Mhm.
So if we're partners, in essence, their product and services are also becomes available to these users.
Yeah.
End of the day, financial should be open.
Yeah.
Should be the people should have a choice. Don't close the loop. People should have a choice to use their wallet. It doesn't matter if that's wallet A, B, or C. If all
Mhm.
these wallets coexist, end of the day, the people will choose the right system for them. Not only where they can save money, convenience, security, but also end of the day, it's all about service.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier the challenges of lockdown, not being able to roll out. And we have a question from the audience that actually relates to lockdown, and this is directed to all our speakers. So, what advice can you give small business owners whose businesses have been declared non-essential by the authorities in how to survive the pandemic? So anyone from our speakers can respond to that. So their business has been declared as non-essential. So how do they survive?
So let me try to do
Okay,
that.
go ahead, Golf.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what we did. The most important thing is to control the blood loss, which is the cash flow going out. So really look into your internal processes and what are essentials and what are not. And I think it's really important to do the cruel thing of having to do layoff. If it's to keep the whole company survive, you might need to do some decisions that you want. So some cruel decision that you weren't happy with. Of course, you want everyone to be along the ride, but if it's really troublesome, in such a troubled time, it is really important to make sure the company still run on positive cash flow, looking at all the waste, looking at what is not needed, and get ready to grow after the COVID has passed. So that's my advice.
From Hafimi?
Yeah.
Or,
RJ, maybe I'll take a crack at this. I think
Sure.
I think majority of governments have put into place obviously fiscal measures
Mhm.
to help businesses, just I guess stay afloat. Some businesses, I mean, the reality of business is ultimately sometimes you're just in you just get phased out. Fortunately or unfortunately, it is the scenario. The other point, I guess, and I wanted to just tap on to Marvin's point, is the fact that this then gives businesses the opportunity to innovate. Do you then go beyond what you are as a business? Do you then use tools that are available, or you create tools that are not available to actually go beyond what you currently do? I think entrepreneurship, I guess, a little bit different in the sense is that you serve a need. But at the same time, when you identify that the need has changed, do you then move away from it and just figure something out that changes you in a different direction? So I think the ability and having the tools to pivot is very essential. And we also obviously take this as a this is a once in a lifetime pandemic that has affected the whole world. And I think everybody is learning at their own pace. I guess if I would to use Brunei's scenario of what actually happened is it was a lot of collaboration between the private sector and the government sector to actually come up with a variety of ideas to really help small businesses. And I say small businesses, even to the guy that's like selling $1 meals by the side of the road. It was to that extent that the government actually stepped in and said, look, we want to still enable you to get some sort of income. And we helped co-sponsor. There was a co-sponsorship of digital platform. And then a couple of folks, a couple of other businesses said, look, we can help you do the delivery. You just prepare the things at your home. You get yourself registered for free on this platform. We'll arrange somebody to pick it up because people can order from you, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where you see that collaboration that Marvin had also mentioned, and people step up. Humanity is such that they will always step out to help those who are less fortunate than themselves. So I feel this is where you see that the humanity in all of our communities comes forward to help each other out. So I don't think people would be left, maybe they don't get the same variety, the same amount of exposure or the same access. But I think in general principles, the community would actually come together and actually help small businesses work together, whether it's just, within a particular zone, through barter trading or whatever it is. But I think it came down to some of those basic levels that we had experienced in Brunei.
Mhm.
So I hope that answer, I mean, it doesn't give you a clear answer,
Yeah.
but the ability to innovate, I think, is much more accessible to us now compared to previously.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, with all these opportunities that all of our speakers took advantage of, and now that you've seen their results, could you say that these changes in business model or changes in the organization, will these be temporary, or will they be like a key part of your overall operations moving forward, like post pandemic or a new normal?
Maybe I could just go. I don't think we should go backwards.
Yeah.
The whole aim of doing things is to move forwards.
Yeah.
And if you've already broken the bureaucracy, I think you should keep pushing the envelope. I don't think as entrepreneurs we should never ever say, well, we'll just go back into the little comfort zone. I think all the entrepreneurs in this room would basically say, if we've already broken it now, we got to keep pushing and see what else we can break, or how much more out of this box that we can push. Get rid of the box altogether, become a circle, and actually be growing more and more and more.
Yeah.
I think this is where the timing of things sometimes is interesting. You know, as they say, right? If one door closes, the window opens. I think we're seeing more and more windows opening in all various sectors, and it actually makes us rethink, how do we as businesses, or how do we as entrepreneurs actually lead the way forward? So I think, you know, we will not, I don't think you should go back. If you're going back, there's something wrong.
I like the phrase "break the bureaucracy." There's a revolutionary feel to it. Marvin, you were
To add to Hafimi, RJ, is for Squid Pay is quite different. The bureaucracy becomes favorable because of the pandemic. I'm talking about financial because the government is pushing everyone to go cashless, and the government, especially the cities, the League of Mayors, don't want cash anymore because the potential to spread the virus. The people become accustomed using wallet, QR code. I don't think they'll go back again to paying cash. SquidPay solved two problems as soon as we launched. First is the stock exchange law. Many, as you know, in the Philippines, when you ride the transportation, you will have a problem with change. So we have a lot of these issues, and also the discounts for the senior citizen, the students are not being implemented. When we launch, we ensure that these things are taken care of. So that's what I said. People will opt to use cashless than cash, post pandemic. So, and that's where the opportunity comes in. And lastly, the government becomes supportive of the effort of the Bangko Central for its financial inclusion. They want everybody to be part of the financial system. And this is a good opportunity to put them all, especially that the government is giving what we call assistance during the lockdown. So instead of going out and get your cash to the designated cash out center, you can just get it from your ATM and at your own convenience. So there's a lot of things that we're doing to help the government, and in vice versa actually.
okay. Golf or Tida, any input?
Well, I believe it will be a new normal thing to everyone, not just for me, but everyone, every business people, because during this pandemic, it's a really tough time, very depressive time for everyone. But as an entrepreneur, we're trying hard to find a way, a better way to adapt a new thing, to find, something to think out of the box to respond to this kind of pandemic thing, to make things more better, more convenient for that. So I think it will be a new normal for people, for business people, and it would be a new integrated overall operation as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Golf?
Let me unmute. Yep. So, I really like, what Marvin is doing. Another interesting thing about Thailand in terms of moving to cashless is it's driven by banks. It's really weird. All the banks are working together to have a wallet and to have a QR code, and they're working that all the transfer, before when you transfer interbank, we need to pay around $1 for the fee. Now that's 0. So it just speed up all the adoption of QR codes in Thailand. So, while Philippines has SquidPay as a hero, trying to drive that on, we luckily the first bank, the Siam Commercial Bank, one of the biggest banks in Thailand, started off with 0 transfer, interbank transfer, and that drive the whole adoption of cashless payment in Thailand. So we can see that. But from what I see in the future, I think it will be paid using cryptocurrencies, which is boundaryless. Another thing that I want to talk about is, government will now have less power. It's something that they won't like it, but they will not have the control over it, because they cannot turn off the internet, and people are trusting more in algorithms, cryptography, than a government that can print out endless money. And then another point that I like to add is also for this pandemic, what I see is us as a region really need to work together as a whole to develop our own technologies. In the beginning, one of our businesses in hospital, we start to request medical devices company in the US, in Europe, for a COVID test, right? The RT-PCR, the most accurate one. They say, sorry, we will send it to America first, then Europe, and you are probably somewhere down the list, right? It shows, right? When even for the country we look up to, we buy technology from, when in time of trouble, it's for yourself, so we really need to, it strikes me hard really, that when problem comes, we are last on that list. So we as a region really need to help develop and use, because it frightens me a lot of time and disappoint me as well that sometimes innovation created in our own region are looked down by people from our region, and we are now adopting the European and American technologies, and but when troubled times come, we are last on that list. So I just want to put this forward and say, we really need to work together more.
I think it's good that we can learn from what they're doing and then have our own regional take on it, and do it and implement it regionally, or even come up with indigenous solutions.
Just to tell you, right? Our group of business, I didn't all flourish.
Yeah.
Over time, we actually shut down our hotel divisions.
Yeah.
We shut it down for good. It's just now empty building, because like I say, I put money where my mouth is. Is I say, when the times come, you can't rely on the government subsidies, but you can only rely on your own. So we just look at our business portfolio. This is making a loss. It doesn't seem to come back fast. We just shut it down. Just stop the blood bleeding first. And then we can look at innovation, just like Hafimi said, innovation is really important. A lot of things we see during this COVID, our customers adopt technologies much more readily. For example, video conference. You see, it won't happen before. All our clients want us to go to their site and waste 2 hours traveling. Now that's what we see. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a question from the audience. So here we have entrepreneurs who are all go, 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 innovate, innovate, innovate. But we all have those days when we're feeling, under the weather, or not really up to speed, or up to our usual selves, right? So one of our audience members has asked, and this is for all the speakers, during the pandemic, what are the things that you did when you felt unmotivated? And what did you do when you felt unmotivated? What are the things that help you keep on track to whatever you were doing at the time, or to keep yourself on track in your business?
Good, maybe. I'm busy all the time, so I don't know.
Okay, you're busy all the time. Yeah, it helps.
I guess maybe as a generic or just as a commonplace answer,
Mhm.
is the fact that you find something, whether it's through reading or something like that. You know,
Mhm.
downtime is actually maybe just time for your brain to have a rest. And it's actually saying to you, look, you know, just take a break. And I think that's something that we also recommend, you know, especially with entrepreneurs, because you're switched on all the time.
Mhm.
You know, you're either thinking of selling, you're either thinking of what's the next thing I'm gonna do, what's the next, you know, for those of you who do have family, obviously family, you know, gives you a bit of, you center yourself with family. But at the same time, there's still always that little, you know, little bit in your brain that's still turning over and over again. But I guess it's just, you know, talking to people is also something that I've found that keeps me motivated. And just, you know, just taking a break, once in a while, I think it's good for anybody anyway. So I don't think there's nothing wrong with taking a break. But at the same time, when you sort of center yourself and you suddenly say, you know what, I'm gonna go and embark on a new light bulb moment. I'm not too sure. So a lot of these things come into play. It depends on you as the individual. If you have somebody if you're somebody with family, obviously your family will keep you going.
Mhm.
But it's really hard to say, because like I said, you know, I'm a busy person. I've been at meetings since 7 o'clock this morning. So yeah, on a Saturday.
Yeah. Tita, goal for Marvin, like.
Yeah, for me, it's the same. We have thousands of shareholders that we cannot disappoint. These people are really looking forward uh, for Squid Pay, and the same time our public listed company PHA to do something great in the future. And we're working really hard along with the men and women of Squid Pay and PHA to make that happen. A lot of great things is hard to develop. Otherwise many done it already. It sometimes it takes time, and I always believe that the timing is always the most important things. No matter you have a good product, you have the money, you have the resources. If it's not the right time, then it will not happen. I uh, but I always say this, that we will not stop, until it happens, and that's the reason why we cannot be unmotivated, because every day, the moment we wake up, we knew for a fact that thousands of stakeholders are rooting for us and looking forward to be able to deliver something great.
But
So
not everyone is like you, Marvin. So some people can get unmotivated at times as well.
oh I just for me it's I I'm a survivor of COVID. Only 2 weeks ago I thought I was dying, uh, from moderate to severe,
Oh.
and believe me, I signed everything to make sure the business will continue even without me. Uh, and 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 it opened also my eyes, because there's a lot of most important things than what you think it is. So now, the more I cannot be unmotivated, because I knew for a fact that I'm only here for a borrowed time. So, and I will do everything I can to ensure that the people who believes in us, we will never disappoint. The shareholders, my family, my kids, they're all my inspiration. Though sometimes we won't be able to meet their expectation, but I think what is important is they feel that you're trying your best, and I think everybody here, along with my speakers, we're not here if we did not did something great during the pandemic, and I think it's still not enough. I think there's a lot more that we can do, especially if we collaborate. I mean, the four of us can also become regional. I mean, uh, we can help each other. I always say this, I think collaboration now is the key. You cannot do it by yourself. You cannot do it just even you have the best product, you still have to to collaborate and partner with everybody. I think that's the most important things now.
All right. Tida or Golf?
Well, I think myself with the same like the other speaker as well. Like we are, I mean, just like we are the entrepreneur, we have the mindset of keeping our brand working all the time. So, and we still have a lot of people depend on us. We have a lot of people to be supportive for them. Like I myself, we are working together with our farmer, a cooperative as a farmer in our agriculture and farming as well. So when we are taking back to see how the pandemic hit us, like slapping on our face. But at the same time, we have a lot of people looking for our support, looking our hope itself, looking for the silver lining together of that. So thinking about that, it seems to be like my brand need to work all the time. What we have to find the solution. What if we have to work more better on that to respond to this kind of situation on that. And of course, like Hafiz mentioned earlier, it's good to go for having ourselves to get a little bit rest in time because it's something that we cannot control, and everyone are the same, facing the same challenge, facing the same problem. And so rest a little bit, slow down a little bit, but at the same time, we just keep working, keep finding solution, keep thinking out of the box. What should we do more better than that? And at the same time, I think I have been surrounded by a lot of good people, senior people, especially in business part. We have a lot of senior people that have a lot of advice, giving motivation together in a group, in a team, that what kind of challenging that we are facing the same, what should we do? And so we keep trying, talking, communication together to give more motivation to each other and that. So this is what we are doing during this pandemic, during this hard time as well. But again, as I mentioned earlier, being an entrepreneur, we probably don't have much time to think about how unmotivated we are. We're just thinking how we can do more better than that. Yeah. This is my side as well.
I think having a support group helps a lot.
Yeah.
Golf, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. So I think first of all, like it's okay to be depressed, right? Because it's probably the worst economic crisis. Because usually, even in all the previous crises, only some sectors are affected. But in this COVID, everyone is affected. So it's okay to be stressed. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to want to just stay at home, take a rest. But at the same time, once you get back and have like focus and not panic, it's really the most important is focus on what you can change rather than what you cannot change. That's what we did. And we can see a lot of opportunities. For example, a lot of companies that previously weren't available for M&A, they are now available for the first time because they suffer a lot. So right now we have so many M&A target underway that have synergistics value to us. And so yeah, a lot of companies, a lot of big companies that grow global, they usually expand during pandemic because they could make some critical acquisitions. So that's what you can see. And another thing that you can see is in pandemic, it actually create heroes. I start to see which one of my staff are the one I could depend on when issue happens, which one of my friends I could depend on. So yeah, so that's my take. Just focus on what you have control over and focus on what you can do and ignore what you don't have control over. So that's my take. Thank you.
Focus on what you can control and not on what you can't. I like that. It's very good advice for during these times, because there is still uncertainty in how the pandemic will proceed. Okay, so We have a question for Marvin. So it says here, marketing jobs and no, sorry. That's not. Yeah, that's not for. Okay, sorry. Okay, so to all the speakers, since we are on the topic of it being okay, not being okay, how do you manage your stress during this challenging period?
We come on conferences like this and vent.
Yeah. But this is your support group. And then
yeah, okay. I guess in all seriousness, look, managing stress is part of living. I think no matter what anybody says, no matter what level of entrepreneurship you're at, stress will always be inherent because it's really up to you whether you take it to drive yourself or it hits you and you just get bogged down. And I guess for everybody, look, for everybody who's in attending this conference today, you've taken that first step. So if you feel that you're stressed or whatever, this is your first step to actually trying to overcome. And without sounding too, I guess, preachy about the whole thing, is you just find your focus. I think you acknowledge the stress, and then you find a way to work through it. I think that's what's part of life's journey in doing this.
Okay. Golf, how do you manage your stress? Seeing as you're in a conglomerate.
Yeah, so like I have support groups. I'm in this organization called YPO, where we have forum, and that is really helpful. And like I say, the most, like I still can't picture it. Some people get put too much pressure on themselves. They get upset because they are stressed because we're in one of the biggest pandemic in the world. Like ever seen for the past 100 years. It's okay to be stressed. I do not put that much pressure on myself not to be stressed and to be strong all the time. It's okay to be weak at some time, but it's the most important is to get back up. And I have a support group within the forum structure in YPO, so that really helps.
YPO is the Young Presidents Organization, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Tida or Marvin, any tips or any would you like to share your stress release regimen with the audience?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, Golf mentioned also the same, like we have the supporting group during this pandemic, not just about, I think maybe it's not just about a pandemic, but before that, we have a lot of stress. Being an entrepreneur, no matter what you are doing, the level, like Hafiz mentioned earlier, no matter how level you are, you still have a lot of stress. But you better put the stress in front of yourself or you just put it off to the other way. So I myself, like I mentioned earlier, we have a Young Entrepreneur Association group. They always sharing together on how to respond to the problem stuff. So this is a supportive that we can consider as a part of stress management as well. And at the same time, I'm not quite sure if everyone is doing like a meditation as well. I myself spending like a 20 minutes to 30 minutes for meditation every day for that. So it's kind of releasing your toxic mindsets into that, because like Golf mentioned, it's okay to be stressed. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be cry, because we are still human. We're not a robot. We're not working all the time. We still have emotion. We have suffering. So so this is how I respond to the stress and then manage on the stress every day as well. And of course, I'm trying to think more about the positive side rather than to negative side. So that's why it's bring me a lot of positive energy to work out, to work more better every day as well. Yeah.
All right.
For me, RJ is the way I manage stress is first I talk to God. mm, to give me more strength and give me the strategy how to get through it. Then second, I talk to my colleagues and partners and discuss the challenges. Because we don't believe in problem. We always thought it's always a challenge, it's a challenge that we can overcome either through me or with my colleagues and partners. We always share the load. Uh, it we we always find the ways. Then third, I talk to my kids. They're my extreme happiness. I I always find my stress reliever through my kids. Seeing them happy, seeing them playing, talking to them. And this is the way that I can overcome the daily stress. But end of the day, as you mature, as you go by in the business, you learn that stress is always going to be part of your day.
Mhm.
And you will only get stress if you let the stress uh, stress you out. The Most of the challenges, uh, you just have to look at the solution. You don't look at the problem. You always look at the solution right away. Whenever we discuss things, we don't talk about the problem. We always talk about solutions, and we never stop. Looking for ways to resolve any issues. Most of the issues actually can be resolved by directly dealing with it and discuss with it, and sharing the loads with others.
All right. One last question from the audience. So we're almost out of time, but one last question. And this is for all our speakers. So during the pandemic, how do you have peace of mind in your decision making process? Marvin,
Okay.
you were the first to unmute, so let's go
Yeah,
with you.
I have to decide a lot of things every day. But the way I decided on things is I always decide for the best of everybody, not only for the company, but for the best of everyone. Because at the end of the day, we are just one ship. And sometimes these decisions are difficult. These decisions are uh, painful. But if you decide based on the uh, the majority and based on the welfare of everybody, I think end of the day you don't have to feel guilt. There's things that you cannot control. All you have to do is to accept it and move forward because not every day you'll see a rainbow. But if you if you look at the horizon and you'll see that the decision uh, help the organization, even it's so painful, then end of the day, you know what you did is right.
All right. Hafimi or Golf or Tida, anything to add?
Yeah, maybe I just
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Uh, so I guess for myself, I think when you make a decision, I think based on the experience that you have in your own industry and the knowledge that you have for your own company, I think any decision to move an establishment or an organization forward will always be done with conviction. I think I agree with what Marvin says that, us as business leaders, first and foremost, is that we do what is best we make a decision that determines the relevant and most suitable outcome. And sometimes the outcome is not necessarily what everybody wants to hear, but you cannot please everybody. I think you also make a decision based on what you can see at that particular point in time. I think you've rationalized the facts, and I think everybody on this panel and everyone on this conference with the knowledge that they have gained over time running their businesses, they will know deep down inside that what they're doing is the next thing. I think when you have too much self-doubt, when you overthink things, that's when the propensity to say, oh, did I do the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing? And I think as entrepreneurs, you eventually develop this instinct whereby you sort of think, and the voice of conscience within yourself will tell you what decision to make to move forward.
Mm. Golf.
Yep. For me,
Yeah.
apart from having a spiritual connection is so really important. So once you believe, like go to God or meditate in if you believe in Buddhism, to have more conscience, that's really important. But another thing that's also really important is data. If you can run the company using data, knowing what works, what doesn't work, which process is a lag behind, you can make a data-informed decisions, and it will give you a lot more confidence when you do something. That's why it's so really important. If you can digitize all the departments in your company, all the crucial operations, you can have that critical numbers to assist your decision as a leader, and you can make a more informed with data support decisions. So that's my take. Yep.
Okay. And Tida, anything to add?
Well, I think all the speakers precisely
Okay.
everything.
All
Sorry.
right. Okay.
So not different from them. I think all the decision has been made based on the fact that we are having, based on the experiences that we have into our own industry, business industry itself. And of course, like Go mentioned, is everything is based on the data analysis. We need the number to see what's going on inside as well. So that's how we do for our decision maker, other decision maker in our company and stuff. Yeah.
All right. And with that, so thank you to our speakers. And with that, I'd like to hand the floor to Charmaine Col Leong, President of the Philippine Young Entrepreneurs Association and current ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council Philippines Chair, for a recap of tonight's session and her closing remarks. So Charm, the floor is yours.
Thank you, RJ, for that warm introduction. I am quite impressed with all our speakers here tonight. Nobody expected COVID-19 pandemic to last this long, yet here we are a whole year and a half later. This made me proud about our young entrepreneurs, and it shows how creative and resilient they are. With Marvin promoting cashless payments in the Philippines and working closely with the local government units, targeting the underserved Filipinos who are not connected digitally, and promoting financial inclusion. I also love how he talked about collaborating with competitors in the industry, which is true. The market is so big. It will be better for everyone to think of a unified purpose and help more people rather than think of it as competition. I also like what Golf said, who, when he shared his experience about having to leave, supposedly leaving the country, but he was brought back home, and this made him look back into his country and saw opportunities in digitalizing and outsourcing teams. I like how procedural he thinks. He said, look inside, reduce waste, automate, and scale. He had to close down the business that was hurting and focus his efforts to what was relevant. Focus on what you can control and utilize data to help with making informed decisions. Then, in the food and agriculture sector, Saida talks about digitalization of her company and networking with other businesses, shifting her target market in order to tap new customer base. There are things we cannot control, but we can also slow down and keep working, keep finding solutions, keep improving. She surrounds herself with experienced entrepreneurs as mentors. Hafimi, on the other hand, has talked about the value of preserving cash and streamlining the process in the service industry. How this made her realize how interconnected the whole country's supply chain is. As for Brunei, this was evident by a growth in the domestic industry. I also like it when she said that humanity will step up and help those less fortunate than themselves when a crisis like this happens. It is interesting how this pandemic is really one of a kind and has affected all of us in different ways, with everyone learning at their own pace. And I'm sure everyone agrees if we can collaborate and find synergies among our countries, we can achieve more together as an ASEAN region. Thank you to all our speakers. They have shown us how, despite the challenges, they have found in their own ways to cope and turn these challenges into great opportunities, helping not only their businesses, but also their country in their own ways. I hope everyone learned a lot tonight because I did. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's really a journey that one cannot do alone. Remember that there are a lot of groups out there, like your local Young Entrepreneur Association, you can connect and draw inspiration from. Don't give up. Maybe you just need to sit back and relax to see things in a different light. Again, thank you to our audience for spending your weekend night with us. May you all have a pleasant evening. Back to you, RJ.
All right. Thank you, Charm. Once again, we'd like to thank our speakers, YB Hafimi, Tidam, Marvin, and Golf, for taking time to share their experiences with fellow entrepreneurs. To AYEC Chair Fatin and PYEA President Charm for co-organizing this dialogue. The first of I'm sure will be many dialogues within our region. And to our dear audience for taking time out of your Saturday night to join us here. So be sure to look out for the announcement of the next event in the series, so you can find this on the ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council Facebook page. So you just search it on Facebook, or you can follow us on Instagram with the handle at ASEAN YEC. So yeah, we're planning to have more of these dialogues in the weeks to come, with different panels, different topics. So we look forward to having all of our audience members and of course the panelists join us again in the future. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a pleasant evening to everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
you.
you all
Bye.
speakers.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Tida. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you,
Bye.
Charm.
Bye.
Thank you, Golf.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm looking
Thank you,
forward for
everyone.
everyone next year as well.
Yes, join
William.
us. We're looking forward to coming to Cambodia, yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, 10.
Thank you, RJ. Great job, man.
We are from Indonesia. Thank you, our listeners.
Hi, Oliver.
Thank you.
Charm. Hello, RJ.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you,
Hey,
Michael.
guys.
Michael, thank
Thank you
you.
for inviting.
Hey, Oliver. Hi.
RJ, Star.
Sino naman?
Hello, Davao.
Yes. I don't know where they are. I think I'm the only one. Ano ba?
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Oliver.
much.
Thanks
Stay safe.
all.
Thank you for joining, Oliver.
Thank you for inviting.
RJ, Charmin, we stay first, yeah?
All right.
Okay.
Hi, Romel. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Romel. BJ Africa.